Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a torta with some snack habits. Bye. Bye. Wow. Thumps just went nuclear, right? Let's get to this intro. Welcome back to the channel, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that this gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So, Wapin, what just happened? I'm going to tell you what happened. The back and forth. Hey, it's like an Aaliyah song, right? Only not as talented as Aaliyah. Look, trip out on this. The Norteno Thumps from Sacramento went nukes, right? He dropped bombs, homie. Baghdad, Iran, right? That vato went fucking straight up crazy on the microphone and disrespected everybody. Disrespected Sur Gang, disrespected Bozo, Blue Devil from Haters World, Grifo. I mean, everybody who had something to say about him, he clapped right back on them. And in a northern fashion. Now, I'll tell you guys this right now. I wasn't going to do this video, but someone asked me what was my feelings on the video that he made, on the song that he made. Did I watch it? Did I see it? What was my perspective on it? Yeah, I seen it. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I heard it. Unfortunately, right? And all I can say about all of that is Thumps did his thing. Okay? He expressed his emotions, his feelings, and spoke on it the only way he knew how to was jumping on the microphone. Now, I'll say, was it the greatest rap song, greatest diss ever? Chile, right? Is Thumps the most talented rapper? Well, him and Lefty could get in a fucking rapping battle and our ears would burst, right? But I'll tell you guys this. If that man wants to get on the microphone and disrespect people and go that route, to each their own. That's his thing. That's his, hey, it's his beef. He can settle it any way he wants to settle it. Isn't it better to settle it on a microphone than with a microphone? Right? I'm just telling you guys right now, it could be different. It could be a situation where motherfuckers put their life on the line or other people's lives on the line. And I think a rap beef, a boxing match, a thumb wrestling match, over the top, brother, right? Any way is better than taking it to the streets and actually hurting someone. Now, I understand where Thump's perspective is on this, where he's coming from, but I didn't think that rap song was it, okay? The disrespect there was coming from a place of hatred, coming from a place of, being instilled and indoctrinated with, hate. Let's just be real. Now, if a man talks shit about you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to either ignore it or you're going to clap back, right? Ain't no problem with standing in defense of yourself. Ain't no problem with holding it down for your righteous beliefs. Not a problem. But when you bump baking soda breath on the door, when you become a wolf case, when you bite into or feed into the negativity, and you're doing exactly, you're right here, homie, the palms of the hands, you're doing exactly what those individuals put out there for you. You're biting into it. You're feeding into it. And you look less than. Now, I'm not going to disrespect Thumps and say he's any type of sucker or that he won't handle his business. Everything that I've ever heard about the guy, he's with the program. Okay, he paroled in good standings. He did his time like a righteous Norteno. Now, his affiliation, his association with the individuals he's kicking it with, that's his thing, man. No one can hate on that. But I will say this. Certain Norteños, certain people that are laced up, educated, probably feel a little bit the same way I do, which is, man, you definitely could have went without that rap song. The disrespect of Bozo, I understand. That guy disrespects the Norteño movement any chance he gets. All the way back to saying the Norteños were waving the white flag and all this and that. And then, of course, you got Haters World who back in the days was pretty heavy on the Norteños. Hey, he goes so far as to one day he's talking on his fucking podcast and he throws up a 1-4 talking about something, and that vato acted like he was going to throw up. Like he did something wrong, right? Thought his head was going to explode. It ain't that serious, bro. You know, when you're a grown man doing grown man things, conducting yourself with professionalism should be on the top tier, right? That's the way I was taught. Respect should be right there next to it. No matter how much this North and South stuff keeps going, you got to be the man, a real measure of a real gangster and someone who really knows what's up and who's educated. Lets all that pettiness and all that bullshit just leak off their back, right? They ain't tripping. Slide on back. Homie, brush your shoulder off like a Jay-Z song. Wait up. I don't like Jay-Z. But you know what I'm saying, right? So Thumpz does a rap song, and it's basically a clapback on everything everyone's been saying about his trip that he took to Los Angeles. And of course, man, there was a big deal. A lot of people tripped on it. I, for one, did a couple videos, and I'm going to tell you exactly where I stood on that. I thought Thumpz conducting business in LA was not a big deal. I thought, in fact, man, it was a blessing and a great thing for him. There's a lot of business to be had in Los Angeles and Southern California. There's no doubt about that, man. That's the land of opportunity. That's the la land of opportunity, right? You go to LA, you meet people, you make connections, you wiggle, you do business, and you get the fuck up out of there, especially if you're from Northern California, because you are not embraced nor welcome. But at the same time, you're not going to get jumped on for wearing red. You're not going to get ran up on or hit up every corner you're at. As long as you're not in a barrio disrespecting or going down there with bad intentions, you're not going to feel the recourse of bad intentions. Believe me, I've been to Los Angeles many, many, many times, and I'll be going many times more. And it's not to say that I was down there and not a little apprehensive or watching my back. I think as a Norteno, anyone that's laced up and raised in and out of prison, man, you're taught awareness. So you're aware of everything going on, your whole situation. That's just natural. That's just Mexican, bro. Always got to be on your toes. We're taught that, right? Now, him going down there and conducting his business, I thought was a good thing. I thought, hey, this man is actually continuing what Gold Toast first established, which is breaking barriers down in Southern California. He went down there. He interacted with the Southsider. They played handball together, man. They looked like they were smiling, like they were happy. I said, hey, that ain't too much different than what's going on in prison right now behind them walls. North and South playing handball and softball and all that, right? So I said, hey, man, he's just continuing the program of what's actually happening. That's a real one right there. And then fast forward after all that, man, after all that embracement and love and showing love and respect and all that, I was like, man, he really did that. I understood people were going to bump Baking Soda Breath and disrespect him, Wolf, because he was in LA. That vato went live in Los Angeles, man, and stated his case. Basically, he was saying, look, man, I ain't trying to go out here and gangbang and do none of that, but I'm here, though. Motherfuckers ain't going to stop me from wiggling wherever I want to wiggle, right? Now, where the mistake was made is when he got back, all of a sudden, the disrespect came out. And, you know, some would take that as a cowardice move. I seen it as a youngster, someone who did time, is laced up, but is influenced by those around him. You know, I've always thought Thumpz is a solid dude, man. I've never heard anything other than that. You know, like I said, man, the disrespect, I think that's a product of his environment. I think he was in a situation on that No Paperwork podcast where there's nothing but the super duper active Norteños that are around him. And he felt like, I got to fit in, homie. I got to disrespect these guys because that's what this vato next to me does. Right. And so it came out and people felt some type of way like, damn, bro, you came to LA, you were playing handball with the Southsider. And then after the fact, after you went home and you're comfortable, then you disrespect. Okay. Me, I don't have a problem with none of that. I'm not North, I'm not South. I'm just a Mexican from Northern California. Now, I done lost my rights and privileges to function that way. And I'm glad I did, bro. Because the way things are going nowadays, I don't want to be a part of none of that trickiness. You got red on red. You got Northerners fucking beefing online. You got Vatos fucking disrespecting, cell soldiering online, back and forth, North and South, right? Nah, bro. I come from an era where you couldn't even get online. You couldn't even fucking take a picture, homie. I remember the Scared Straight program came to Merced County Jail, and all the homeboys turned their back on them and just kept conducting our fucking selves the way we do. We had nothing to say, right? But again, it's different eras, different times. Hey, you know what I'm saying? The gangsterism demands change, right? So Thumpz said what he said and whatever. People had a problem and an issue with it. Then, of course, the Northerners, BFD and his partners, man, they pull up to No Jumper podcast, which, again, I don't approve of No Jumper, but again, it's their business. They do what the fuck they want to do, right? And people went nuclear. They went crazy. Man, how are these Vatos pulling up to LA? How are these guys doing videos in LA? It's simple. Cameras, lights, action. And not necessarily in that order, Holmes. Right? No disrespect, I'm sure. But then when these guys double back and then the disrespect turns up and turns on, I understand why the Southsiders are surging, why they're feeling the way they're feeling. They're upset. But a lot of the usual suspects are upset. You haven't heard nothing from real ones like Conejo. You haven't heard nothing from Baldacci. You haven't heard nothing from fucking a lot of the active Rangers that are out there really doing their thing. You know, you heard that dude, I did a video on him yesterday from Florencia that has no problems with Nortenos. He functioned with them in prison. He says, I ain't even tripping, right? He's tripping more on the Southerners that are tripping on him. But it was the usual suspects until Grifo popped up, who's not, it was unusual having done business with Norteños that he would even say anything, right? But you had your bozos and your haters worlds and your Neil Dezads, the same guys that are always on social media disrespecting the Norte. Not necessarily as much haters world, man. I got nothing bad to say about that, Valta, but you know, it is what it is. These guys had a lot of things to say. And then you had Blanco 15, who's he's gonna try to fit in any fucking size jeans you can, paint his hair any color, and jump on with painted fingernails and a labubu hanging from his fucking pocket and talk shit. That dude's inconsequential to the North and the South. Believe that. Any motherfucker that hangs a little boo-boo from their pants, caca. Stop it, bro. You're going to go into prison. Hey, what were you doing up there? You're putting in work? Nah, bro. I was fucking selling bootleg t-shirts at the swap meet and wearing fucking labubus. Man, boo-boo. That's it. Straight up. Anyways, I noticed a lot of the dudes that had problems with the Norteños going to LA were dudes that didn't even go to LA or ain't even from LA. You know what I mean? It's crazy. All the LA Sureño Southsiders were just like, whatever, ese, let's keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? We got enemigos out here trying to kill us. We ain't worried about them vatos. So it is what it is. No disrespect to the Norteños. They went to LA. No disrespect to the Southsiders. That ain't even tripping. The ones that feel some type of way, feel some type of way. And so that comes where Thumps comes in. And Thumps makes a rap song. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, that rap song was not it. First of all, Thumps might be a fitness bodybuilder. He might be an active Norteño, someone who's willing to put up them dukes and slang them things. I get it. I respect it. But rapper, homie, nah. You know what I'm saying? You got to tell BFD to go back to the fucking drawing board and rewrite that one for you. That one was not that great, bro. But there was a lot of disrespect. And I think that was the point. It wasn't the lyrics. It was the lyrics, but it wasn't the lyrics were decent. It was the way he put it down, right? And, you know, we all know Thumps is not the greatest rapper. Now, hey, we said the same thing about Lefty Gunplay, and he got better. So Thumps can get better if that's what he chooses to pursue. But I think it was more a diss, a parody, a roast, a clown, basically letting everyone know that talk shit about him or disrespect him. This is how he felt. Now, all the derogatory words towards the North, man, towards the South, like you could have did without that. You got to conduct yourself with professionalism. I just don't understand that he said, she said, that she said, that he said, the S word and the B words and all these different words that are being thrown around. The N words most definitely always get thrown. Nowadays, a Mexican can't rap without saying the N word. It just is what it is, man. You know, it's like, fuck, what happened to our culture? I guess, man, the brothers came out on top, man, and that's just the way it is, and you got to accept it or don't accept it. And I accept the fact, man, that the realism is they did. You know, you could be as Mexican as you want to be and a rapper all you want to be, but if you can't sing a rap song without saying the N-word one time, you done lost my vote. And that's not because I have something against the brothers. That's because, man, I have something against derogatory, discriminate buffer words that people use, man, to downplay another one's appreciation for the fact that, you know what I'm saying, they're in America. That's just me. I hate when people say the N-word, man. Blacks, browns, greens, it doesn't matter. You know, because I know the true meaning of that word. And I don't think anyone's an idiot. I don't think anyone is ignorant. And, you know, that's just me. But anyways, who am I, right? I'm the guy right here in front of you telling you that rap was not it, but there was a lot of disrespect. To the point where it felt like Thumps went nuclear, man. He utilized Haters World. You know, he utilized, and remember, here's the thing I've said a long time ago. I'm going to keep continuing to say it. anytime you say anything on social media, anytime, it's going to be used against you. It's kind of like them reading your rights, right? It doesn't go away. It goes in a cloud and it stays there, and then it rains on you when you least expect it, right? And he utilized Haters World saying things about Southerners. He was compassionate that day. He was fucking had a lot of fire, and he said some bad things about Southerners, and he utilized what he said of him slandering his own people and talking shit about his own people against them. Then he used different wording to say what he had to say. Look, shout out to Thumps and them cats, man, for pushing the envelope and for keeping on pushing. But at the end of the day, man, you could do without the disrespect and just go hard in the paint and show them how talented Northern California really is without disrespecting. See, I was taught a long time ago by some real OGs, not that same OG, but a real one, right? From Sanjo, who told me a long time ago, I'll never forget. He said, bro, if you can't tell him in his fucking mascara, then you better brush off the caspara. I said, the caspara, homie. You're dandruff, homie. You're clouded right there, bro. Your mind's clouded. You got a fucking big old thing of caspa on your head, Holmes. I said, what the fuck does that even mean? He said, you're not thinking straight. You're a disrespectful cat. And cats that disrespect dudes from a distance and that don't say it right to their face or don't just hold on to it like in Vogue and wait till they see them, them are the same type of individuals that when push comes to shove and when they really see them, ain't doing nothing. Now, I don't think Thumps is that. I think Thumps will handle his business. I think Blue Devil will handle his business. I think Bozo, I don't know about Bozo, right? He might. And I know Neil Dezal will handle his business. BFD, I don't put it past that off to fuck catch a case on someone, right? So, look, these guys I know aren't suckers. None of them. Zero. They don't got suck in them, right? But that fucking disrespect back and forth, that dissing is sucker shit, man. It just isn't, it isn't rather becoming of a Norteno or a Southsider. It's not, and there's a lot of people that are seeing all this internet beef and they're watching and they're saying, damn, bro, I thought these motherfuckers, I thought there's so much blood and sacrifices have been made on both sides. People have conducted themselves behind the walls doing pegadas and losing their lives and all that. For what? The representation to be a couple of dudes making rap videos saying the N-word, disrespecting each other? That ain't it. You know? But Thumpz had, hey, he said what he said. He did what he did. As far as do I think it's a horrible rap song? I don't like the message behind it. If you know me, you know that I play music on my lives. I play music on my channel. I do what I do. I'm a big music enthusiast. I was raised by a mother that was a DJ, a father that was a DJ. So music's in my veins, right? It's in my blood. And I could tell you some good music and I could tell you some no good music, but that's my opinion on it, right? And one thing I always tell everybody when they make requests and everything is I don't play music that disrespects the other side. Because, hey, and I'm going to be honest with you, there were some high power Sureño raps back in the days with Capone and all them where they were disrespecting Norteños bad. But the majority of Southern California rappers back in the days didn't rap about Norteños, didn't disrespect them, just kept doing their thing, talking about ain't nothing like them summer nights, right? They were just doing their thing. But 99% of Norteño rappers do disrespect Southsiders. And that comes from, that's their enemy. You know, just like you had Southerners that were disrespecting their enemies, the enemies being other Southsiders, you have Norteños that disrespect their enemies, but their enemies being upstaters. It just is what it is, you know? So with that being said, man, you know, I didn't think that rap song was the best. I thought it could have been better production, better delivery. That's what the word I was looking for earlier. The delivery is shot put, right? Throw that motherfucker, right? Throw that like a javelin, like the Revenge of the Nerds. Throw that motherfucker, right? That delivery was straight up nerd shot put. The message behind it, I understand. The disrespect behind it, I also understand, but don't agree with. But you know what? No disrespect to everyone doing their thing. If they want to fucking bad, they're grown men. If they want to fucking keep bumping baking soda breath on the internet and disrespecting each other, hey, I've done the same thing before, man. I can't be a fucking hypocrite. I have trolls, people that hate on me, and I've said things back. In fact, I'm going to do several videos today, and one of them I'm going to be addressing something that I said. I'm not apologizing, but I said, man, and we're going to get to it right later on. Anyways, with that being said, what do you guys think about Thumps? Did you guys listen to his new music video? If you haven't, listen to it. I'm not here to promote division. I'm here not to promote them coming together. I'm not in a position to do any of that. I'm just in a position to critique and to give you my perspective. My perspective is, damn, time has changed, homie. How can you be a Norteno or a Southsider and take the beef to the internet? This is crazy. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. This video right here is sponsored by Barrio Liquors out there in Turlock, California. If you're ever in the Central Valley in the 219 area, pull up to the Barrio and get you something icy to drink. Also by Sticks and Stones Yard Service out there in Tucson, Arizona. If you're in the Tucson area, Google the homeboy Sticks and Stones Yard Service and hook them up, man. We need to support our small local raza businesses. And this is the gun, man. That's what we're supposed to be doing, helping each other, not tearing each other down. But who am I?